Welcome to TORAH Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingston, Texas, USA, with episode number 42 of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart Federow, coming from Houston, Texas. Home with Houston Astros, who's been kicking tail lately. Rabbi, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you.
Thank you. You still talking to me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay. Are you mad at me?
Oh, never. Can't I?
Yeah, you are. I'm sorry.
Look at that.
I should have kept my mouth shut.
Look at that smile. How could I possibly? Oh, no. It's been long. It's just always a long work week and long day on my knees, laying flooring for 9 hours straight, just about. And then you come home. You only have, an hour at the most to be able to set up everything, and it's challenging sometimes.
And then you get an ornery rabbi who should be merely grateful for just being on the air with you to be hawking you a chinik or harassing you. No, hawking you I'm not sure how to define that.
That's
harassing you for nothing. All right, I'm sorry.
No, you're a good guy, man. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool is I've never heard anybody say anything derogatory about you. You're just a nice guy, man. That's all there is to it. So.
Fooled you, didn't I?
No, you're good. You're awesome. I am a little upset with you though.
I bet you are.
But not about what you think, what you.
No, really.
Think.
What else is there?
What else is there? I mean, how long has it been since you've been here?
Well, yes, probably at least a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been a little too daggum long, in my opinion. So, yeah.
You're right. I will come. I promise.
In that regard, yes, I'm a little ticked off.
All right, okay. We're not that far. That's the thing.
I know.
If you are right.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, so either way, I'm glad that I'm actually glad that all your surgery crap is over. I hate to say that word, but
well, thank you. Yeah. It is. I'm happy that it is.
Right.
Although I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure it did me any good.
Well, you know what? I guess time overall will definitely tell. I mean, it's.
Well, yeah, they said it's early. It said that they can take up to 2 years for real, true.
Right.
Getting back to normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, cool. Pardon me. All right, so let me do this real fast before I don't want to cover you up. Okay, so I just logged into the phone lines, so you'll be able to reach us at the number on screen, 855-952-4253. Translates to 855-95-BIBLE if you're on the go. If you're on vacation, like I said before, if you're in Tahiti or whatever, and you just thought about calling and you couldn't remember the number, 95-BIBLE, 855-95-BIBLE. That's the number to remember. So, anyway.
You should get a sing-song thing, like a whole bunch of girls going 955-95-BIBLE.
We dial 855-559-5243 and get Mr. Gaddis pizza delivered.
Yeah. No, not Gaddis. That's it. Trey.
Oh my gosh. What's really funny, one of the commercials I still remember from like when I was a teenager. This may tell you guys how old I am, but I don't care. But remember the whatchamacallit, the candy bar?
Sure.
The two brothers were sitting on the screen and they were looking side by side, and one brother was eating a candy bar and the other brother looked at him and says he's like, "What you eating, Luke?" He goes, "Whatchamacallit?" He goes, "What do you call it?" "Whatchamacallit?" "No, I mean, what's his name?" He goes,
"Right.
Well, I told you the name. Did too. You said whatchamacallit." That's right. I don't know why, but certain things just stick with me and I can't shake it, and that's one of them.
Okay, since you have brought it up, and since you're absolutely insisting.
Man. Yes, I am insisting. You're right.
Are you ready?
Go for it.
Little girls have pretty curls, but I like Oreo. Oreo's my choice because it's the very best cookie ever was. Girls are nice, but boy, what icing comes with Oreo.
Wow.
Oreo.
This is the 1970s and 80s commercial version of TNT.
Yeah.
Hey, one of my favorite commercials of all times is this little girl she was like, in her little bathroom behind the door, and the mother hears her talking, And she's like, "Are you talking to the walls again?" She goes, "No, mommy, the toilet paper. Remember the talking toilet paper thing? I can't remember. Oh, soft, ultra soft or something. I can't remember.
Right.
If I played it right, if I did it right, you would have remembered and said, "Oh, how adorable."
Well, it sounds adorable, but yes, I'm not quite sure of that.
Right. That's funny. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me let's see. The music has stopped. Let me turn up the phone lines because otherwise I won't even hear it ring. You know, people have asked me why don't you turn down the ringer whenever it comes through? Because honestly, if I don't have the ringer turned up in the show,
You won't know it rings.
I won't know it rings because I got too much stuff going on, and neither will like you or the rabbi. And we could be talking, even if I heard it, but you didn't. You wouldn't know there was a call coming in, and you might want to kind of speed up things if you know a caller's waiting.
Absolutely.
So the phone lines are open. I'm really hoping we get a phone call, but even if you don't call, that's okay because we've got a really, really, really awesome topic that we're going to start off with. And Rabbi, I want to cover that there's multiple problems with this particular area of Scripture of
Yes,
Tanakh.
you're not kidding.
So Isaiah 7:14 it talks about the quote unquote virgin birth from the King James, but I did notice that like in some translations, like the Complete Jewish Bible, it doesn't say the virgin or the whatever. It literally translates it correctly, the young woman. Right. And so, but also I want to not only cover that, but also the whole sign thing, because so many Christians think that the virgin birth or the birth in general was the sign, but I don't think that's the case, is it?
Definitely not.
Okay, good.
By the way, should I start singing? I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. No one's going to grab you up to get into the light where you belong. Now, don't you wish I actually could sing?
Yeah. No, actually, you did pretty good. You didn't go off key too bad. You didn't sound like a girl, though. That's the only problem I have. So
go back where you belong. How's that?
That was better. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go there.
All right.
Let's check out this whole virgin birth thing that's not there.
Well, it's Isaiah 7:14 as you said, but it really starts with Isaiah 7:1.
You know what? Hey, linger for a minute. Give me a second. I want to pull up the Bible on here because I want people to see this. I want them to see.
They need to see this.
You know, another thing I want to cover, which I know you're going to do it already, and that is the part that's missing in the English. The virgin. The young woman.
Yes.
Because everything says a person, which is non-definite.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, all right.
And then after this, I really want to look at Isaiah 53:9.
Okay, great. Let's go there.
Yeah,
okay.
But after this, unless something else comes up.
Okay, super. All right, so go ahead and start with that. I'm going to. I hope I'm not cutting off your face by me leaning into. I can't see very good, so
you can cut off my face. Just don't spite my nose. Don't cut off my face to spite my nose.
Oh, you're funny. Okay, so main display. I need to go with window, and I need to select Bible Study 6. There we go. Okay, I'm good to go. So there's that. Okay, so now I can actually pull up a Bible screenshot here, somewhere out there. Oh, okay, Rabbi, go ahead and start with it. I'll pull up the screen. Oh, there it is right there. I just found it. Okay, good. So you can go ahead and start doing your read off if you want.
All right. Well, it says, and it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotam. So the question is when were the days of Ahaz? 2017 years ago? No, they're probably 2,700 exactly. So the point is that the whole prophecy isn't about some vast future thing. It was right then and there for the days of Ahaz.
Right, gotcha.
Okay. And verse 3, God says to Isaiah, "Go forth now to meet Ahaz, you and Sha'ar-Yashub your son, okay, and say to him," okay, let's see, okay, here it is, verse 10, okay, "Moreover, the Eternal spoke again unto Ahaz." This is all about Ahaz, okay, it's not about approximately, give or take, around 700 years later at the time of Jesus. The whole point of this is to take place for the sake of Ahaz.
Just to clarify, just in case people are thinking, oh, you're really nitpicking here. Okay, let's just say, for example, I told my son, son, I'm going to send you to Disney World this coming summer. And as a sign, what I'm going to do is 50 years from now, as a sign to you, 50 years from now, I'm going to be an old man in a rocking chair. That'll be your sign that, this summer I'm going to do something. It makes no sense whatsoever for it to be 700 years later if it's a sign to Ahaz.
Because your son is going to say, oh boy, in 50 years from now.
Yeah, it's really, really just nonsensical, man. It really is. It's unbelievable.
No,
okay.
Absolutely. And then take a look at what happens. Okay, now we're getting closer to the...
what verse are you traveling to right now? Sorry.
I'm starting with 7:10.
I was just, okay, let me back up here. Hang on. Okay, there we are. 10 is up. Oh, you know what? Let me go to King James because that's what most people have. There we go.
It doesn't matter either way.
Well, the Complete Jewish Bible doesn't word this more correctly, but most people don't have access to that. So let's go with King James on my side.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So again, 10 is, moreover, the Eternal spoke again unto Ahaz. So again, I want to reiterate that it's all about Ahaz. The whole point of this is for Ahaz's sake.
Right.
Then it goes in verse 11. Ask for a sign of the Eternal your God, ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Eternal. Okay, now I'm not quite sure about the word tempt. Okay.
Right.
Try, not tempt, like, ooh, that's a temptation, but to put to a test.
Right, to test.
Okay,
to
it's the
test
same verb. Okay, so the point is that Ahaz is afraid. He says, okay, I'm not going to push. Okay, Ahaz, frustrated, says, look, buddy, when I tell you to ask for a sign, aren't you supposed to ask for a sign? Fine. You won't ask for a sign, I'll give you one anyway.
Right.
Okay, so this is verse 13 now. And he said, hear you now, O house of David, is it a small thing for you to weary men, but you weary my God also? Why does he say this? Because I just asked you to ask me for a sign, and you won't even give me a sign.
Right.
To ask for. So now we come to 14. And it says, therefore the Eternal himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a young woman or virgin shall conceive or is pregnant, and that's the issue, and bear a son and call his name Emmanuel. But it doesn't end there. The sign, butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you abhor shall be forsaken of both her kings.
So the sign is not the birth.
The sign is not the birth. The sign isn't even the fact that by the time the kid knows the difference between good and evil, the two enemy kings that you're afraid of are going to be dead and buried. That's not the sign either. What's a sign?
Sign is something you can see. You can see it from a distance.
Exactly.
Everyone.
It's a physical entity. It's not a miracle.
Right.
If he'd have said, ask for a miracle and I'll do it, he didn't say that. He said, ask me for a sign.
Right.
So the first kind of sign that I think of is a stop sign. A stop sign is metal and paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's real. It's in the real world. It's a physical entity. So the physical entity, before you even get there, what's the purpose and function of a sign? So the sign points to something. It points out to something. Okay, a sign that says stop means it's pointing out to you that that's the place you're supposed to stop. Not 50 feet in front of it, not 50 feet behind it, but right there at the stop sign.
And not only that, but it's so that everyone within a visible eye shot can see it. Everyone, not a select person.
And if they're driving, they'll do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the sign? The sign is the kid himself.
Right.
Okay. Every time he sees the child is a reminder, a sign to Ahaz that Ahaz has nothing to worry about.
Right.
So, and how old is the kid?
You just made
kid doesn't matter how
he's
old
young.
he is.
3-4 years old, maybe, before he can taste honey. What was that section?
Uh,
Butter and
I
honey
just
shall
read-
he eat. So after
Right.
he's got to be like 9 months old. I mean, I don't know.
If that-
Very,
if
very,
that.
very, very young. Right.
But the point is
Yeah.
that before the child knows the difference between good and evil, verse
Right.
16, for before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, how old is that?
Right. Oh yeah.
Does that mean he's got to be 700 years old?
Right. I mean, and of course, even from a point of accountability, I mean, at the worst case scenario, just on that verse, people say, well, not 700, maybe 12, 13, 14, because that's when you're held accountable for good and evil.
Bar and bat
But
mitzvah age.
still,
Exactly.
but still, it actually says earlier though, because it says butter and honey shall he eat. Right.
That he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good, for before the child shall know to refuse the evil.
Yeah. Before then. Right.
So he's already been weaned.
Right.
He's now on solid food.
Right. Gotcha.
But before he gets old enough to know the difference between good and evil and to only choose the good,
Right.
even if it says he's 21 years old, okay, old
Right.
enough to vote in the elections in November or whatever, okay, before he reaches that point, these two enemy kings are going to be dead. The sign is the kid of flesh and blood. Every single time he looks at the kid reminds him that Ahaz has nothing to worry about. And why do you think that Isaiah calls the kid Emmanuel?
Interesting. God is with us.
God
right?
with me is God.
Okay. Gotcha.
Imanu with us is God. You have to put the is in there. Languages, Hebrew, for example, ani, I, po, here.
Right.
So if I want to say ani po in Hebrew, I have to translate it as I am here. You have to put the verb to be is a helping word for the verb to be. I am here. He will be. There's some conjugation of to be, am or will, that goes along with existence. Okay, that's the way the language works in English. In Hebrew, it doesn't. You just say ani po, I am here, but you have to translate it in English with the word am.
Right.
So Emmanuel is with me is God. That means that the sign is the kid himself. Every time he looks at the kid, he knows the kid's name is going to be with me is God. Okay, and so that's the sign. With me is God. The kid becomes the sign to Ahaz that God is on his side and he's got nothing to worry about. That's the whole point.
Awesome. Oh, you know what's funny? You said something that really made me just think and actually chuckle inside. The whole sign thing, right? Okay, so God gave the world a sign that he would not flood the earth again. What would happen if he said, okay, I'm going to give you a sign, there will be a bow in the sky, and no one ever saw it?
Right.
What is the dang point?
Right.
I'm
What's
going
the
to
point
put,
of a sign?
you know what? I'm going to advertise for my work on my truck, but you have to have special glasses to see it.
Yeah, there we go.
That makes no sense. There's no intellectual smarts there, period, at all.
Actually, we're coming to the season, so I should tell you that there is a sign that I can't see. It's somewhere on my synagogue. It says, nutcases enter here. And I keep trying to get rid of it, but I can't find it. Because I'm telling you, William, from November to April,
Oh my gosh.
Christmas season through
Now that's
Easter
funny.
season, it's like the nutcases come out.
That's funny.
It's really scary. It's really weird.
That's
I wish I
really
could get
funny.
rid of that sign, but since I'm not a nutcase, I can't see the sign. Only nutcases can see the sign.
You crack me up, man.
Yeah, well, I hope you're already forgiving me
Oh.
for my being a creep before we
Hey,
began.
you know what? It's everybody has their
All right.
moments. I've got mine. God
All right, yes.
bless
All right,
America.
at any rate. Okay.
Okay.
You know how sometimes you work with a text and you work with a text and you work with a text and you see something in there, but you don't realize what you just saw, and then all of a sudden, years later, you're looking again at the text,
Right.
or somebody will say something, and it just grabs you and says, "Look at me!"
Right.
And then you go, "Wow, I never noticed that before."
Yep.
And I was listening to Rabbi Singer, and he made this statement, and it was like a toss-off statement. It's like he didn't even realize what he said because he's done it so often. And I went, wait a minute, what was that? What did he say? And
Right.
it's just incredible. So I want to take a look at Isaiah 53:9.
Oh, you know, as you're talking about this, I'm actually thinking of Isaiah 53:9 A and B, like the first half and the second half. I hope you cover everything that I'm thinking about so that I don't have to bring it up.
Well, hey, no, this is
I know, but
William,
this is great.
conversation between the
This
both of us. And so,
this is great.
if people call in and have questions, they can talk with us too, or just gab. But ultimately, it's you and I talking. So I want you to remind me of stuff to say, and I'll remind you or ask you questions.
Hey,
This is how it works.
Okay, and also
Okay.
just for all you people out there, you want to know what kind of software I'm using. This doesn't really help you much, but Rabbi, tell me in about 15 seconds if you see this. This is all the complexities of, well, this is only the surface, actually. Can you see all this right here? Is it showing up yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, look at all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's really, really like psychotic in a way. But anyway, so.
It's power.
Yeah, I've got the power like Grayskull. Okay. All right, so I'm going to switch to Isaiah 53, and we're going to go to verse 9, which is an amazing verse for sure. Let's see, Isaiah 53, 9. Wonderful. Okay, I got it here. Okay, so go ahead, Rabbi, and we'll talk through this thing.
Here, and I am using the King James, perfect. Because that's the most often used missionary text.
Perfect.
Although they're starting to use the NIV a lot more, I will say that. And the NIV is just pathetic. But at any rate,
Right.
Isaiah 53, 9. And this is the suffering servant. We know who the suffering servant is. We know why he suffers. We know who he suffers at the hand of. All that stuff, yeah, whatever. But the point is that Isaiah 53, 9, and he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing is, the whole chapter is 12 verses. This is the 9th verse. Okay, it's still saying, and he made his grave, so we're still talking about that same servant who suffers for God. Okay, and it's just amazing to me. I'm telling you, it just. Okay, first things first. Okay, can you throw up the Hebrew?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want you to accent something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. And I think, oh, yes, good. I found the alternating verse, so that's good. Okay, remember Zephaniah 3:12, okay?
Zephaniah.
Zephaniah 3:13, actually. Because I want to actually connect that with Isaiah 53:9, okay? Okay, so you want Isaiah 53:9 in the Hebrew, right?
Yes, because it's very important to show.
53:9.
And this is not the main thing, by the way. This is kind of a minor thing.
Okay, so the Hebrew is now up. Okay. You're waiting for it to show up, aren't you?
Well, yeah, Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
You like that fade, by the way?
Take a look.
Okay.
Okay. You have the verse number on the right of the screen. It says 9.
Right.
Go all the way to the end of that line. Okay.
Okay.
And it says mo tav. Correct?
No. Well, in the verse?
Yeah. Verse 9.
No, it says
the last word in that line.
Oh, in the line, not the last. Okay, I thought you meant in the verse. Okay, yeah.
No. You've got 9 on the right. Go all the way to the left on the same line. The last word is what we're talking about.
Right, b'motav. Right, got it.
B'motav. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now the translation, keeping the Hebrew up, it says in every translation you've ever want to look at, and he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death.
Right. The
problem, of course, is that the word is b'motav, and that means in his deaths.
Oh, really?
It's yes, it's plural. Okay. The first letter, is b, which means in or with.
Right.
Okay. The mem and the tav, tell you the root letters, which is mot, which is die.
Okay.
To pass away. The yud tells you that it's plural. It's not death, but deaths.
Oh my!
And the vav at the end tells you it's his. It's the third person singular possessive.
Okay, got it.
In his deaths.
Whoa, I didn't catch that. Okay, cool.
In order to fulfill this prophecy, doesn't that mean that Jesus would have to come back and then die again?
Right.
So that he have at least more than one death. He would have deaths.
Interesting. Right on.
Okay. Now, that's the first thing, is that almost every single translation I've ever seen, and I mean every translation, misses this.
Okay, I want to see.
But for even the most introductory person who's just really beginning Hebrew would be able to see that very quickly.
The complete Jewish Bible actually missed that part, by the way. It says in his death, singular. I figured they would have caught it, but they didn't.
Right.
Okay, got it. Going back to King James. Okay, carry on.
Right. Okay.
You want to go back to Hebrew?
No. Stay where you are. That's fine.
Right,
so the first thing you have to point out is it cannot be talking about Jesus because he only died once.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And it's clear from the Hebrew that the word death is plural deaths.
Okay.
In his deaths. If it was in his death singular, it would be b'moto, not b'motav, but it's clearly b'motav, so it's in his deaths.
Oh,
plural.
Right.
Okay,
right.
that's
Got
one
it.
thing.
Okay.
Now, here's the part that just,
Right.
other people listening, William, they may have known this all along, but to me, this is like in the past month or so, it's just like boom. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And he made his grave with the wicked.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
And with the rich in his death. We know it's deaths, but let's
Right.
just take it as it is right now.
Okay.
Okay. Keep this in mind. He made his grave with the wicked.
Right.
Okay. Let's start with that first.
Yeah, what
okay?
is a grave? It's a place where a person is buried.
Exactly. Right.
And
That's the point.
I love this point. This is so juicy. Okay,
All right.
so and everyone knows, Christian and non-Christian, that are familiar with the New Testament, knows that the place where he was buried was in a rich man's tomb.
Right. But pull this up. Go to Matthew 27, verse 57.
All right.
We'll come back to the Isaiah 53:9, but just
Okay. Got it.
But it says he made his grave with the wicked.
Okay.
Now let's go see what happened with his grave.
Okay, 27:57. When
Yep.
when the evening had come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple.
Right. Now
Okay.
verse 58.
Okay. He went to
Go
Pilate
ahead.
and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered.
And then 59.
Okay, let me scroll up a little bit so I don't lose it. Okay. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, verse 60, and laid it in his own tomb, in the rich man's tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock, and he rolled the great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed.
Right. So here it explicitly says what most Christians will know if they've studied the New Testament at all, that he was buried in a rich man's tomb.
Right.
But that's exactly the opposite of what we had when it says he made his grave with the wicked.
Perfect. Don't
Don't you love this part?
I love this part. Yes.
I think it's hysterical, but I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
Remind me why it's hysterical.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, yes, go. I'm glad you're back with the Isaiah 59.
Okay.
Okay. So he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, but we already discovered that he made his grave with the rich.
And in his death, he
Okay.
died with
Now-
thieves, not rich people.
I'm sorry, say it again?
I said, and in his death, he actually died amongst thieves, not amongst the rich
Exactly. You
people.
asked.
So it's
you
totally
asked a
opposite
Christian-
on both ends. Right.
Yes. So, and by the way, the reference for that, okay, would be Matthew 27:38.
Okay.
Just to show it up there. They can't deny it. It's right there.
Yep. There were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left.
Exactly.
Yep.
Which means which means he wasn't with the rich in his death.
Right.
He was with the wicked in his death.
Right.
So so instead of being grave with the wicked and rich with his death, he made his grave with the rich and with those who were wicked in his death.
Right. Right.
And the reason why it strikes me as so funny is because it shows that whoever completely made up completely made up the story of Jesus's death and burial, they got the facts jumbled up in their heads.
Right.
So when they wrote it down, this made up story, okay, they were trying to make it match Isaiah 53 and specifically here 53:9, but they blew it.
Yep, they did.
Oops.
Yep. Okay.
William, I swear to God, I have read this thing 500,000 billion trillion zillion million times.
Right.
Or close. And
never saw it.
And I never realized this. Sometimes some people have to have information clock them on the head before they'll realize it.
Okay, so I'll show you something in the same verse, the second half. That.
Oh yeah, we didn't get there yet.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, you go with that. Do you have something?
No. Show it to me. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Cool.
Zephaniah 3:13.
Yes. And by the way, Zephaniah.
So I got to tell you, this is also. I'm not sure where you're going. Zephaniah, and would you say 3?
3:13. Oh, as soon as you see it, 13. As soon as you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. My friend Lon. Actually, he's the first one who showed it to me. I was like, wow, I never saw that before either. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so on your screen, you'll see it says, and he made his, we just read the first half. It says, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. And so when I've told people before that this is talking about, Israel, the actual nation of Israel, people say, you cannot tell me that the nation of Israel has never done any violence. That there's no way that could be true. I don't care what you say.
Right.
They start listing off all these things, right? And so to me, I'm thinking, I don't care what you list. I don't care what proof you have. What I care about is what the prophet said. And right here in Zephaniah 3:13, we'll pull it back up here. I think I already had it up there once. Let me see if I can find it again. Where'd it go? There it is right there. Okay, so let me pull it up here, Zephaniah 3:13. Okay, and keep in mind what we just had, 53:9. Okay, it says, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Right?
Right.
That's the complaint, the argument. And of course here we have Zephaniah 3:13, the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity nor speak lies, neither shall any deceitful tongue be found in their mouths. Almost verbatim.
Right. Okay, now here let me respond to that. Okay.
All right.
See, when I read Isaiah 53, what I see in this verse is that as a result of his start over, what did he do? This servant who suffers for God, what exactly did this servant do to deserve the suffering? Okay. In other words, there was no deceit in his mouth. Okay. Or don't move, stay right where you are. Okay. Let me pull it up. Had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. In other words, he hadn't done anything to deserve what happened to him.
Right.
Zephaniah 3:13. Okay, well, they can say, oh, well, this is the remnant of Israel. This is like in the future. They can do any number of things. But the question remains, what did the Jews do that Isaiah 53 is actually talking about to deserve all the persecutions they have gotten, that they've received at the hands, usually, by the way of history, at the hands usually of good Christians? And the issue is nothing. Jews didn't do anything to deserve the Holocaust, the Inquisition, the Crusades as they would go through Jewish places, kill every man, woman, child. What did they do to deserve any of that? Nothing. They didn't do anything to deserve it. Okay. So to me, when it says, done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. Okay. So what violence did Jesus do that got him crucified? Well, there was violence he did that got him crucified. he was overthrowing tables overthrowing tables in the temple. So that means he did do violence, and that's what got him crucified, because it drew the attention of the Roman authorities, because they don't want rabble rousers.
Right.
They don't want people getting followers. The Tacitus, Josephus, Philo, and the other guy. The word they use in the New Testament Greek, the Koine Greek, which is usually mistranslated as robbers, thieves, that Jesus was crucified between.
Right.
In Tacitus, Josephus, Philo, and whatever.
You got me.
The word is lestes, and the word lestes refers to political insurgents against Rome.
Ah, right.
Right.
Which is technically what Jesus was really guilty of.
And the what's it called? The accusation in the book of Matthew calls a little plaque above Jesus on the cross the accusation. In other words, what was he accused of for which he received the penalty of crucifixion? The answer is Jesus Christ, King of the Jews. You think this is your king? This is what's going to happen to him if you don't think the Roman guy, the guy in Rome, the emperor in Rome is your king. This is what's going to happen to the guy you think is your king instead.
Right.
So he did do violence. Okay, he was a very violent man. Talk about, peace and love, Jesus. And if you read the New Testament, Jesus is anything but. Okay, in the Gospel of John, when he goes into the temple to clean it up, as they say, okay, he makes his own whip.
Right.
He makes his own scourge with which to beat the people. So, he condemns a tree for not having figs on it when it wasn't even the season of figs.
Right.
Okay, it's not the tree's fault. This is not my image of a God who is that condemning, that it's not even the tree's fault because it's not the season of figs, but he gets condemned to death because he didn't have figs on it, even though it wasn't the season for figs. Jesus was a very violent person. He says, as long as you've been with me, haven't you had enough food and clothing and shelter and scrip and everything? But one thing you still lack, go get a sword.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Supposedly, if you're God, you command the demons. But instead, Jesus decides to kill a whole bunch of innocent little piggies, okay, and put the demons inside the piggies, and then they have the piggies go drown themselves. Why not just have the demons drown themselves and not just the New Testament shows Jesus to be a very violent person. So it's the violence that he does that draws attention to himself, and therefore, okay, he did do violence, and therefore another reason why 53:9 cannot refer to him. And he also says there's no deceit in his mouth. Jesus says, turn the other cheek. That's a very famous thing. But when the soldier slaps him on the cheek, he rebukes the soldier and says, why'd you strike me?
Right.
So isn't it deceitful to tell people to do one thing when you yourself don't do it?
Yeah. Right.
Right. So Isaiah 53:9 seems to me like this ultimate verse, especially now that made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. Oops, sorry. Reverse that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think it was Willy Wonka where he kept doing that. Oh, no, reverse that. Yeah, at any rate. Okay, so what else do you want to do tonight?
Oh, that's funny. I'd like to have a phone call, just to hear from somebody out there.
Well, they can't say they're watching the Astros beat the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Traveling right now, so.
Yep.
Hey, 3-2, though, is looking good. It's looking real good. So, 3 games left. They just need one more.
What a game that was, too. That was just amazing. I've watched more baseball in the last week than I've had in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years put together.
I watched more baseball in the last 2 weeks than I've watched in my entire life.
Seriously.
I'm dead serious.
I believe it. I believe it.
Totally serious. I've never been a baseball fan, but just recently I became one. Really weird.
Hold it.
Yep.
Psalm.
Yeah, 44.
Somebody asked this on the.
What specific verse are they referring to? It doesn't say. It just says Psalm 44. So let me just put it up here and let you take the screen up for me. Okay, so Maybe in the first verse or two, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It would be nice. Hey, Jacob, my brother, what verse in particular are you referring to? 11 and 22. Thank you. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and have scattered us amongst the heathen. And then verse 22.
Well, that didn't happen until about 40 years after Jesus was dead.
So
22.
basically, okay, this is actually a good point he brings up, though. It says we're counted as sheep for the slaughter. And, it's very much like, as it mentions in the New Testament, so Jesus was led, and he went quietly like a sheep led to the slaughter.
But he didn't go quietly like a sheep.
Right.
That's what we were saying before. He rebukes his captor. What's his name? Pontius Pilate says, are you the Christ, or are you the whatever? And Jesus' response is, you say so.
Right.
But wait a minute. If you go earlier in the text of the same gospel, so it's not like we're dealing with a different gospel in different, language or whatever, linguistic technique or whatever. In the same gospel, Jesus is at the Last Supper. Jesus says, someone here is going to betray me. And Judas says to him, is it me? And the answer Jesus gives to Judas is exactly verbatim the same thing he says to Pontius Pilate, you have said so.
Right.
Which means that to Jesus, the quote, you have said so, is an affirmation of what he was saying.
Or it could be viewed as, you said so.
But no. But either way, it's still saying that what you said is correct.
Yeah, maybe.
How could it be anything else? We know that Judas is the one who supposedly betrayed him, according to the story as written.
Right.
Okay. We know that Jesus probably thought of himself as a Messiah figure, if not the Messiah. Right. So it only makes sense that when Pontius Pilate says, are you the Messiah? And Jesus says, you have said so, is an affirmation of what Pontius Pilate said, exactly like when Judas says, is it me? And Jesus' response is verbatim the same. You have said so means, yes, you're the one who's going to betray me, because it was Judas who exactly did do that.
That is most certainly a way you could definitely see that for sure.
Well, that's to me the obvious simple meaning.
Right.
So,
gotcha.
So
it is the simple meaning. Yes, indeed, for sure. I mean,
so the point is that there. Jesus didn't go quietly like a lamb to its slaughter. He rebuked his captors. He defended himself legally. So, no, Jacob, I don't see how that Psalm 44 verse 11 and 22 would apply to Jesus. Certainly not. In Isaiah 53, I don't see the connection.
Okay. Oh, wait, say that again. You don't see the connection. Oh, between the Psalm, right? Got it.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
Yep.
Interesting.
Pointing out that the servant is unequivocally the nation and not an individual. Let me go back to 22. For your sake, we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Oh, the first part, not the second part. Yes, we Jews, being the servant, get killed all day for God's sake. Oh, now I see what you're saying. And then what was the other one, 11?
Yeah, 11 and 22, right. It basically
it
says the
like
same
sheep
thing.
Appointed from being scattered us among the heathen. Yes, the Jewish people being scattered among the heathen become representative of the nation of Israel as the suffering servant of God. Okay, now I see what you mean.
That's a great.
Took me a while, Jacob.
Hey,
I got there.
That's a great connection point because
now I see that what he's saying.
That's really a good connection point. Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, that it shows that it is the nation and not an individual. Yeah,
right.
I got you, Jacob. Sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. Okay, so all right, so we're coming up on the Mass of Christ and Hanukkah. So what kind? Yeah. So
well, at least Hanukkah is early this year.
Yeah, it's like
actually it's not early. It's the 25th day of the month of Kislev every year, but you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
And so it won't be overlapping too much.
Right. Gotcha. So let's just for grins, let's discuss the birth date selected among Christendom, December 25th, the winter solstice. And how it correlates.
Well, wait a minute. It's why is it 3 days? Excuse me. Why is it 3 days after the solstice? or 4 days after whatever it is,
right,
after the
right.
solstice.
Well, my question is, why did it happen to be chosen to be celebrated on the day of most pagan deities? That one day of the
Well,
year, right?
like any other pagan deity, because Jesus, in fact, is modeled on pagan
Right,
deities.
right.
So why isn't it directly on the solstice, the 20th or 21st, whatever it is, of December?
Right. Interesting.
What's the answer?
I don't know.
The answer is because it takes 2 or 3 days to realize the sun is moving back to where it was
Interesting.
on the horizon. Look, what does it mean? Okay, solstice and what's the other word for the quarter?
You got me.
It's the summer and winter solstice and the spring and fall something or other. Equinox.
Equinox. Yeah. It was
Okay,
right.
what does that mean?
It was on the
Okay,
tip of David's tongue. Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, equinox. It was definitely on the tip of David's tongue, right, David?
Well, I couldn't think of it. Okay, so if this is the world and it's on a slant,
Yep.
okay, and here's the sun, it means the side closest to it gets the hot. Hey, I see somebody. Hi.
You.
Okay, so it's on a slant, and you've got the sun, the lower part of the earth, because it spins like this, okay, gets the heat.
Okay.
When the earth goes up to the other side of the sun, it's still tilted, but now the northern hemisphere gets the most heat, right?
Right.
Okay, so as the earth spins, the image of sunrise is that there's a certain explicit point on the horizon where the sun will peek over the horizon as it rises in the east. Okay?
Okay.
So if you pinpoint that, okay, and like take a picture and mark the point every single morning where it is, it'll slowly get closer to one point, and then it'll start moving the other direction. As it moves the other direction, the daylight starts getting longer. Right?
Okay, right.
So the 20th or 21st, whatever, I don't remember what it is supposed to be the shortest day of the year. I think I have that right. Does that sound right?
No, I can't argue with the point.
I can't either.
I know I'm generally right where you're at, but I don't know the specifics.
All right, okay.
So
yes, you sound as tired as I am. So okay.
Yeah.
So the point is that it took 2 or 3 days after it reached the farthest point before they would make sure and realize that it was moving the other direction again.
Okay.
And then they would celebrate. They would say, good, the days are getting longer, the sun isn't disappearing. Because the ancient mind, that's what they were afraid of, is that the sun was, going out, dissolving, leaving.
Gotcha. Right.
Okay? So the sunlight during the day gets shorter and shorter and shorter. The sun reaches the furthest point on the horizon, either to the left or to the right, depends on which way you're facing. Okay, and then it starts moving again to the other direction, which means the days are getting longer again, and so everybody celebrates. Yay! It's coming. The daylight time is coming back again.
Right.
So that's why it's a couple of days after what is actually the solstice.
Gotcha.
And that's why you had all these pagan, nature-tied holidays to celebrate the solstice, because they saw that the sun was coming back. Don't leave us! Don't leave us!
Okay, so let's close the show out with the topic on.
Oh yeah, the summer solstice is June 21st. Thank you, Tony the Night Owl. So if the summer solstice is the longest day, then the winter solstice is the shortest day.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. So let's close the show out because we're actually kind of on a really interesting roll about attacking this one certain agenda, which is good. Let's do. Why is it important for people to know that that blood sacrifice is not the only resolution for sin? In fact, it's not really even a resolution for intentional sin.
Okay, William. People will say that they need a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin. And if they say that you have to have, you must have a blood sacrifice, there is no forgiveness of sin without it, then all you have to do is show one time where God gave forgiveness without a blood sacrifice, and it blows their whole theory in the smithereens.
Like Yonah.
Because they say, exactly, immediately what comes to mind. It's what we read on the Day of Atonement when we're talking about sin and sacrifice and atonement and forgiveness from God and everything else. And what do we choose to read? We choose to read Jonah in the afternoon.
Right. Interesting.
So
on Yom Kippur, of all things.
Exactly.
Yeah, the one day that the Christian world missed by 6 months. I will tell you this: the thing that had me confused for years was, in the chapter about the holy days, it goes from Yom Kippur into Passover, and it kind of it almost could be very easily conflated, and so I got them confused at some point. By the way I was reading them, it seemed like they were all together, but most Christians don't realize that they're not together at all. They're completely on opposite ends of the calendar, just like the opposite ends of the world for us in Jakarta or Indonesia. They're like totally not even connected at all. And so if people could really just wrap their head around that, they might be able to start being open to some other ideas.
Right, but if you can show one time that there is forgiveness by God without a blood sacrifice, then the whole idea that you have to have a blood sacrifice is just blown apart.
I will tell you this:
it's just shown to be nonsense.
I love my family dearly, but my oldest brother, the last argument we got into, the last discussion we got into, he said, if you will show me one place anywhere in the entire Bible where blah, 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 blah. So I very quickly brought up a scripture, and he blocked me on Facebook. That's not a joke. It's dead serious.
Oh, I believe it.
They think they know, and when they find out they don't, they turn hostile.
Right, because the only thing they know is what they're told. They've never picked up the Bible and read it for themselves without looking at the Bible through Christian-colored glasses.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. Good news is we're slowly reconnecting again, but just not in a biblical sense. Oh man, my can I say that? Yeah, most people know that my biological father is a messianic. I'll say teacher. Yeah, we'll leave it there. He's a messianic teacher, and the last conversation we had was, he goes, "We can have a relationship, but I don't want to talk to you about the Bible." And I'm like, why not? That's like the one thing I love talking about. He doesn't want to talk about it to me and I know the reason why is because he knows that I know more about this stuff than he does. It's very unfortunate, but that is the case, and he knows that the conversation won't last long. So he hasn't talked to me since. And I'm like, I guess he can't socialize on a family basis without actually going there. That's really heartbreaking. But oh well, whatever. It is what it is. So I really hope that I don't know. I don't know what I hope anymore. I just know that we all have a job to do, and that's just to continue to keep that light lit,
Yep.
So
keep the light lit, keep studying, get closer to God.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know what? I started you about a half an hour late, and
I also started you a half an hour late because I got on the phone with you after late too.
That's okay.
And then when we got on, I got all testy, and again I apologize for that.
That's okay. Hey, we all have our moments. So, all right, good deal. Well, it would error me to not mention if you don't have Rabbi Federow's book. Yeah. I can mute you, so I'd rather you just be quiet voluntarily. So, Judaism and Christianity, a contrast. If you don't, I'm going to put just the ad up. You can see sort of a picture of this whenever I make this go live. Okay, so this is, if you look inside the circle, it says Judaism. It's black and white book, black and white letters. Anyway, Judaism and Christianity, a contrast. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle. But it's a very easy read. It's a very thin book. It's very condensed, but it is strictly showing, which is brilliantly the way you put the black on white, white on black, purely designed to show the differences, just like the black and white on black.
That was Marcy, my wife's idea.
Brilliant. So
she said everything's going to try to show color, be black and white, and it'll come on.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't have the book, you really should get it. So anyway, yeah. So and some good news for all. I don't know how many people watch the other shows that I do, but you have some Federow junkies who only watch your show. But hopefully in about 3 to 6 months, we might be going back to every week again. So we've got a building on the way coming. It'll be sitting on our property so that I can actually start working on it to get sheetrock, electrical installation, carpet, the whole 9 yards, so that we can, once that's done, then I can actually start recording every week. Right now we're still in my wife's office, so we're kind of taking it on an every other week basis. So, and if you want to contribute to help out getting this thing paid for sooner so they don't charge me 200% of what... Hey, you know what's funny is, Rabbi, this is not a joke. So this building... it's basically right around a $9,500 building.
Wow.
We're going to pay it out for 5 years. It's going to cost us $22,000 for a
Wait, what?
For a $10,000 building. So if I can pay it off sooner than 5 years, that would really save us a whole lot of money. So if you're interested, TORAHTalk.com, look for the PayPal button, or what is it? What's the other?
William, what you need to do is
it's already done.
At least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Have a major push for donations just for that purpose.
That's not going to happen. So it would be nice, but people don't respond well too much to that. So that's okay though.
Well, they should.
But the point being, we're going to be the studio is going to be moved, and we'll be back on an every week basis really soon. And I'm really excited about that because I miss doing the every week shows. I miss seeing you guys and talking and seeing all the wonderful fans out there. So. We're moving that direction, so it's things are looking really good. So just bear with us, be a little patient, and hopefully 3 to 6 months we'll be back to every week again, and we can really just kick this thing off and keep it going. So I like having the continuity, and when the continuity stops, it kind of, you never know when to pop in, and so we'll try to. I'll try to get that back on board as soon as I can. So. I really I'm grateful for all of you guys out there. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for your time and your wisdom and your willingness.
Yeah,
to
my pleasure.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun just talking with you.
Hey, I'm really serious. You need to plan on getting back out here again. I mean,
I promise you I will.
Even long before the studio gets this going, just get out here. We've got room in here in the office.
All
I've got
right.
room for 2 chairs. We pulled a couple 2-chair shows off several times, so we can definitely do it again. It'll be good. So. Okay, folks. Well, we'll go to call it a night. Thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys. I say at the same time, same place, but in 2 weeks, not 1 week. 2 weeks from today, Monday. So shalom to you guys.
2 weeks.
And Rabbi, shalom to you. Thank you so much.
Shalom,
again.
shalom.
Shalom, everybody. It's been a great pleasure. We'll see you soon. Take care. Shalom. Bye-bye.
חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד.